I think, all right. Okay, so good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. If you don't know me, I'm Katie Aaronshield. I work in engineering career services here at Ohio State. And, one of the priorities that ECS has is that we want to connect engineering talent with hiring employers. And that ideally includes flexible, accessible options for our students, regardless of their circumstances, their background, or their schedule. And so that's why we're really excited to have this webinar today to talk about micro-internships and our partnership with Parker Dewey. From an employer perspective, I would say it's easy, it's straightforward, and it will allow you the chance to, connect with students that you may not necessarily meet during traditional hiring processes. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Emily to talk about Parker Dewey.
Thank you so much, Katie. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Emily Kravitz with Parker Dewey. I'm the Employer Engagement Specialist. My role is to work with all of you employers that are thinking about utilizing Parker Dewey for micro internships. I'm going to talk about the various use cases or how it might fit into your organization and how you can better connect with OSU's College of Engineering. And even if you're not able to visit campus over the next season or two, how you can continue to stay engaged with students there as well. Again, it's our privilege to count OSU College of Engineering as one of our 800 partner colleges and universities across the country. Just really grateful for the chance to connect with you all today. And I do want to note that this session is very much focused on employers and helping all of you figure out the best ways to make connections with early talent in your recruiting strategy based on real-time candidate data and skills. So it's easier to build those relationships with students in a different kind of way. So we'll spend about 20 or 30 minutes or so talking. Feel free to ask questions along the way. And then, of course, I'm happy to stay on after for anything that might come up. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen so we can get into the presentation. Okay, so a quick background, like who we are here at Parker Dewey. We've been around now for about a decade. Since our founding, we've been 100% focused on creating real and experiential recruiting opportunities for employers to engage prospective early career students, and we use a skills first framework to make that happen. It's time tested and proven. We've really taken out the hassle, the friction, the paperwork, the challenges that exist when making hires, and we make it very easy for you to capture the data and respond to changing needs. Our platform does collect a ton of data, and that can help you make these early career decisions in a more cost-effective and time-effective way. And it's really what some of you who are in talent acquisition might be hearing from your C-suite is, show us the data as to if this continues to be a worthy investment. And so we'll talk through all the ways that you can make it much easier for them to understand. So first, what exactly is a micro-internship? So in short, these are very bite-sized experiences that are both engaging to students and driving them to want to learn more about your organization and also keeps them engaged after they have shown interest. It also allows you to quickly see their skills in a way that's not captured from the resume and before you invest a bunch of time. This is really what feeds the Parker Dewey platform, and it plugs right into your process without adding to your workload. As you can see, the investment to get started is pretty small. Most projects are typically less than $600 per project. Most micro internships are usually anywhere between 10 to 40 hours worth of work. These are often done remotely. They don't have to be, so you're welcome to have a student on site if you prefer. But again, I mentioned before, we're trying to remove that hassle. You don't expect you to onboard a student, give them the tour of your office, find them a password, find them somewhere to sit if they're just doing a 20-hour project for you. Really, we want this to be a way for you to get a look at their skills and their abilities, almost like a try before you buy model, before you make the investment into bringing them into your talent pool. This is not meant to replace your traditional co-op or summer internship or anything like that. It's really meant to enhance the strategy that you're already doing. Students also tell us that this is exactly how they want to be engaged with employers. They want a chance to show their skills. They want a chance to stand out from the variety of resumes that all look the same with same classes and GPAs and things like that. They want a way to show you what they're able to handle and take on. Parker Dewey, the student receives 90% of the project cost because all micro internships are always paid. That's very important to us. And Parker Dewey retains 10% of the total project cost, and that's just to cover the cost of the student who will remain on our books during the entire time. So again, we're trying to remove that friction for you in every way that we can. So we're the employer of record during the entire project. We invoice you for the cost of the project, and then the student gets to work. So it makes it very easy. We also handle any sort of tax documents for 1099 if a student reaches that threshold as well. So all you have to worry about and your only cost in participating in micro internships is just that invoice that we send you for the cost of a project. If you're looking to do a bunch of projects, we're happy to work with you to come up with something custom. But other than that, there's no additional fees to use our tool. There's no fee to post a project. There's no fee to create an account. If you post a project and you don't like the candidate pool, you're welcome to close it out at no cost to you. Additionally, we're not a third party agency or we're a staffing firm or anything like that. So, our goal is that we want students that use our platform to find great jobs and internships as a result. So, if you meet a student through our platform that you like, there's no finder's fee or third party agency fee or anything like that. You're welcome to bring any student from the Parker Dewey platform into your recruiting pipeline. There's also no deadlines to post. So if you want to post a project over the summer or next week or today, that's totally fine. Projects do not need to be tied to an academic course or a semester or anything like that. And again, if you post a project today after we hang up on this call, within 48 hours, you're going to be able to start to see students applying. So it's a really easy and quick way to start to engage talent. So, how do employers use Parker Dewey? I want to comment on really three specific use cases that we see. Primary goal for a lot of our employers is to use this as a recruiting tool. And so we've got a couple different cases here. First, it's to help you confirm fit and hire with confidence. Here's where you might want to think about a micro internship as an audition. I kind of talked about that try before you buy mentality. Again, you might come to visit OSU, you're seeing resumes that look the same, potentially you're getting flooded with applicants at the career fair, kind of what we're calling that application avalanche. And so, how do you really decide if student A is a better fit than student B? And so, this micro internship project gives you that chance to see that in action. Give the student a 15 or 20-hour project, which not only confirms their ability to do what you're asking of them in that follow up, but you're also starting to see those soft skills come through as well, those all important soft skills. So, how proactive was the student in their follow up? Did they turn in their micro internship project or deliverable, as we call it, to you on time? Was their communication style consistent? These are things that you can't really suss out from just looking at their resume or having a quick phone screen with a student. Secondly, employers use us often as a resource for building a talent pipeline. So, Katie and I were just talking before we kicked off about how it's been a challenging year in campus recruiting. Some employers we're hearing are getting recruiting budgets cut. You're not necessarily able to travel to campus anymore, or you're having to limit the number of schools that you visit. And so, we're also in April, kind of at the end of the semester. It's a common time to see renegs from students or ghosting, or the student that you recruited for an opportunity back in September has suddenly found something else right before the internship's about to start. And so sometimes we hear that these are great ways like for employers to post that micro internship even if they don't currently have a role open. It's a way to keep your name warm with the student and to keep them engaged with the process. So you can engage one of your current interns who maybe completed an internship with you last summer. Great, throw them a micro internship project in March or April as a way to show that you're still thinking about them. Or maybe you're looking, you primarily recruit juniors and seniors, but you're getting some interest from your leadership on starting to look at earlier talent like freshmen and sophomores. Those students may not be ready to show up at one of your recruiting events or your company presentations, but they're still interested in starting to build their experience. And so, again, a micro internship aimed at a college freshman or a sophomore is a great way to kind of get your name into that student's mindset as they move forward. It also helps them confirm their major and their career plans earlier in the process. So if they do a micro internship in their sophomore year in a marketing type of functional area and they're like, you know what, I don't think this is for me. I feel like I'm more a better fit for engineering. That helps that student figure that out before they invest in all 4 years of their schooling. We see a lot of employers use campus ambassadors, for example, as a way to kind of get that name out with students. You hire a student to be a micro intern campus ambassador, and they will go and talk about your organization in their classes, in their student orgs, among their peers, maybe in Greek life, just a way to kind of continue to keep your brand alive and active on campus. Finally, we also see plenty of organizations of all shapes and sizes use that third use case that just simply gets stuff done. Maybe you have a busy season coming up, or you have somebody going on leave, or you have a major event that you're working on. Bring on a micro intern. It's much easier and more cost effective than going through a temp service, for example. Again, you can post a project today and students will apply within just a day or so. And just a really great way for organizations of all shapes and sizes to try the process out. And also, students are getting paid work experience by doing a get stuff done micro internship. So, really a great opportunity there as well. So when you're getting help on a project, you're also getting insight into our candidate intelligence platform. Employers are looking beyond again, just those individual assignments to leverage it as a key part of your recruiting strategy. Helps you build better relationships with the students as well as the school that you're recruiting from. You're getting more and real insights on their skills, and you're really deepening that relationship. And in this environment, with all these, challenges in the recruiting budgets, that's key. And so for focusing again on those first two use cases for using Parker Dewey, confirming fit and building that pipeline, you can see that this works really well. You can see first, hey, this is a really cost-effective way to recruit early career talent. When you're making hiring decisions based on real insight and not just hypotheticals or a quick resume glance at a crowded event, you're really able to make more comprehensive decisions. There's less opportunity to make bad hires when you hire with Parker Dewey. It's also really easy for you to connect directly with talent. You can post whatever you need whenever you need it, no deadlines or blackout dates or anything like that. And it just makes it very easy for both parties involved. And again, you're also seeing those students that are showing genuine interest in your opportunities and wanting to learn more about what your organization has to offer. For recruiters, again, this is easy. We are not asking you to revamp your entire campus recruiting strategy or to cancel your internship program or anything like that. Rather, we want you to look at micro-internships as something that makes each step in your recruiting process much more meaningful. It makes sense already within those existing efforts. So again, you go to a career fair. We were just talking with our CEO, Jeffrey Moss, about this just before I got on this webinar. Um, where we have seen employers offer micro internships to the students that visit their table. That, hey, instead of walking, he used the analogy, instead of walking away with a squishy ball or a notepad, you can walk away with a link to apply to a paid project. Again, a 10-hour project that a student can take on. And I'll show you some use cases as we get on, some real life examples. But it's just a great way to give students something else and to differentiate yourself from what your competitors are doing. You can post projects even before you come to campus so that by the time students come visit you at your booth or your event, they're already familiar with your organization and they're excited to get moving forward. Okay, so you might be thinking, okay, I like this idea. This sounds cool, but I have no idea what sort of micro internship project I should do. I don't have anything in mind. And so that's fine. No worries there. We want, again, the keyword is easy. We're trying to remove the hassle from this process for you as much as we can. And so if you don't have an idea for a micro internship project, let us help you with that. And so even simply send us an entry level internship or an entry level role that you have, and we can take that job description and sort of unpack it for you and help turn it into a micro internship project or two. And so in this case, here's just a basic entry level data marketer role. We kind of looked at the role and what they're looking for here, and then turned it into a competitive campaign analysis. You'll notice here that you're not sharing intimate information with the student. They're not having to access your client database. They're not making phone calls on your behalf. They're able to do this project sort of externally from all of that. They can use publicly available data for their research. There's a way for them to work on these projects for you without having to turn over the keys. I also want to mention that while the projects are happening, all the work is owned by you as the employer. So a student might do a project for you. Maybe they're doing a social media content calendar. They'll turn that in as a deliverable to you at the end of the project, and you now own that work. So you can use it for actual real work that you're implementing into what you do on the day to day, or you can also use it as an evaluation tool where you give a student the campus ambassador project or some sort of research project where you may not actually use it in your day-to-day work. So I want to show you kind of some real life examples of how some employers put this into play. And so here we have Smith and Nephew, large company, great rotational program, was struggling with brand recognition on campus. So students weren't really aware of what Smith and Nephew did and the opportunity there. And so they came up with a super simple project with our help is they said, hey, students, here's our products, pick one and just make a pitch deck. And so they were able to determine who was showing actual interest in their opportunity. And again, we make it very easy for employers, but we intentionally put a little friction on the process for students. They have to apply for the project. They have to put some short answer questions and really put some thought into having clean and in-depth answers to these questions. They need to upload any supplemental materials like their LinkedIn profile or things like that. They have to take the time. These aren't just one click, like click, click, click on everything. They have to intentionally apply for these micro internships. We do not do the matching for you, so we don't say, here's your student. We want you to be active participant in reviewing the applicants and selecting the student that you would like for the project. And so in this case, they were able to get lots of interest in this project and they auditioned, if you will, lots of students. And because these students were able to kind of get a real life look at what the organization had to offer, they were able to identify 6 students who they thought would be a great fit for their rotational program. And these students were already bought in and excited about Smith and Nephew, and 5 out of the 6 accepted the offer. And then 100% of those students are still at the company over a year later. So you can see so many benefits here in a simple pitch deck micro internship. These students weren't on the recruiting team's radar before. They weren't really aware of Smith and Nephew before. But as a result, they were able to make really impactful hires, and this was all accomplished for less than 40% of their typical hiring costs. Looking at some of those other examples, or some, again, if you're on the call right now and you maybe don't have a current hiring need, or you're not able to go to campus this year, but you want to stay in touch with the students, again, Train Technologies use that campus ambassador model as a great way to be connected with their students and just continue to get that word of mouth out. So when they're ready to come back on campus in the future, there's a little bit more brand recognition. We also had Northrop Grumman that we worked with that was looking to assess some soft skills. And so the challenge that they faced was that large, well-known organization, but students often thought, hey, they really only recruit for engineering. They're not here for me. I'm an English major or an HR major, or whatever the case may be. And so they posted some simple research projects, and one of our Parker Dewey students was browsing the platform and said, I'm not really sure what I want to major in yet, but here's an HR project with this company. This kind of sounds like something I might want to check out. And so she took a chance on a low stakes, 15-hour project with Northrop Grumman and wound up not only confirming that HR was what she wanted to study moving forward, but that Northrop Grumman is a great employer of choice for her. And so you actually see her quote down here in the corner. I wasn't familiar with them at all before finding this, and I really had no idea how big of a company they were. And so just a great way for you as an employer to connect with students that really weren't considering your organization, or to try to solve for that problem of maybe you're a large hospital system, and so students think that you're only hiring for doctors and nurses, but really you're very much interested in engineering majors or whatever the case may be. So great examples here, hopefully that you can start to see the wheels turning a bit for yourself. And here you get a look at the real impact as well as the numbers and the longer term outcomes. Great for reaching different demographics. 80% of the students that complete micro internships come from underrepresented backgrounds. This is an especially impressive statement when you consider and kind of compare this to students that are completing traditional paid internships. When we look at the data, barely a quarter of paid internships are being completed by historically underrepresented students. Given that so many Parker Dewey projects are remote, it also allows students who maybe don't attend school in a major metropolitan area to connect with employers from really around the country. A student may attend OSU during the year, but maybe they go home to a different part of the country for the summer, but they still want to stay active with their search. And so by posting remote projects, they can complete that project from their dorm room on campus or from their hometown where they live. And so you can also see the average cost per hire for campus recruiting shows real impact as well, over 40 to 80% savings. And also look at the retention rates for students who complete micro internships. It's almost 100%. So using micro internships to help students find their fit, it really does make a difference. And by giving students opportunities to work on these projects and paying them a small amount to work on them, it does lead to more time and cost effectiveness for hiring. And it also creates more equitable hiring opportunities, which is something that's very important for us. So I want to share. You might be on this call as a small business owner. You may be on this call as a major Fortune 500 company. Parker Dewey is for all kinds of employers. We work with startups. We work with small businesses. We work with nonprofits. We work with local government. We work with major corporations. So there's a role for every type of employer that is interested in micro internships. You might be a well-known brand with no shortage of candidates, but still struggle with, again, that application avalanche and are trying to cut through the volume. Or maybe you have uncertainty with your recruiting goals and needs for the year, or you're a smaller and lesser known organization that doesn't have the resources of a large corporation and is trying to compete for the same strong talent. And so micro internships are a great resource for all types of employers. And again, that third use case, that get stuff done. I have my own to-do list over here that I'm looking at. It'd be great if I could bring a micro intern on and have them work on some of this list for me over the next couple weeks. And so it's such a great option to consider a micro intern for just simply getting things done. I think about a nonprofit I was working with that had an annual fundraiser. And so they brought on a graphic design micro intern who created their program booklet for them. It was a one-time need. They didn't need to keep the student engaged longer than that. And it was just a great way for them to get to know the local talent as well. So really great. So how do we post? It's really easy. Again, the keyword in using Parker Dewey is that we are very easy for you as an employer. So post your project. We're here to help. Again, we have an operations team whose role it is to help you create your projects and make sure they're looking great for students. If you have no clue where to start, we can help you come up with project ideas, no problem. Again, the students will apply to these projects, so you only select who you want. So you'll see all the students that have applied, and then you can decide, hey, I really like these two or three students. Within our platform, you're able to contact the student directly if you'd like to schedule an interview, and all the engagement with the student takes place through the platform. And then from there, it's really up to you how much engagement you want to have with the student throughout the project. Some employers are using this again as a recruiting tool. So they may want to do a kickoff call with the student at the beginning of the project and virtually introduce them to their team. They may ask the student to present their deliverable to the team on Zoom at the end of the project. Not only is it a great way for your team to kind of see what the student has been doing, but also for the student to practice their communication skills and get more comfortable with making presentations. Or again, if you just need get stuff done and you're like, I don't need to engage with the student too much, that's okay as well. The student is happy to get to work in the background and turn in the project to you by the deadline. So you have lots of flexibility and how much time or not that you choose to spend with the student. I'm going to stop the share for a second and just see if any questions have popped up. Don't see anything yet, but what I would like to do is I want to quickly show you how to post a project. And so we have a very sort of basic project template library on our main homepage, parkerdewey.com, where you can kind of look at projects just to get some ideas. You're by no means limited to just what's on this list. Again, we have all sorts of interesting custom projects. I just did a landscape architecture project with an employer, so that was a kind of a fun and unique project. But here I've just, for fun, I clicked on human resources. Here's a best practices DEI project. And when you click on view template, it shows you an inside look to the Parker Dewey platform. So this is what it will look like when you actually go to post a project. So you're going to include the project name, the estimated start and end date. Here's where you're going to put a little bit more about your organization. Who are you? What do you do? What does the project involve? What is the purpose of the project? And then including your deliverables. So what will the student turn into after those 15 or 20 hours have wrapped up? Moving on, you can put in your location. You can indicate if you prefer this to be a remote project or an on-site project. You have that choice. You'll always see up front exactly what you owe for the project. So we typically, again, look for students to be paid anywhere between $20 to $25 an hour, and that's an equivalent. So the students are paid by project as opposed to the specific hours. So if they're doing a 20-hour project, but they complete the work in 21 hours, they still get paid the same as they would if they completed the project in 19 hours, for example. But again, Parker Dewey keeps just 10%, and that's to cover our costs. So you're seeing the student gets $400, and we will invoice you for $444.44. That is a mouthful. And that's it. The student on their side will never see what you owe, just what they receive. So they'll just see, hey, I'm getting $400 for this project. You can feel free to include any skills that you want. Like, again, I use social media as an example before. Social media tools is a skill that pops up. If you'd like to include some skills there. Down in schools, if you want to post this just for OSU students, you can absolutely do that. You can type in Ohio State, and that way it will go just to students that are enrolled at Ohio State. So you've got lots of flexibility there as well. You can also indicate if you're looking for students that are only current students or only recent grads, or if you don't have preference and you're open to all. And then down here is where you get a chance to create some kind of customized short answer questions. So again, I think this was an HR project that we're looking at here. Yep, diversity best practices. So there's just how would you approach finding relevant resources for the manual? Maybe you want to add a question about, I don't know, their technical skills. Have you ever used Microsoft Excel before? If so, how? And then that's also giving you a chance to start to assess their soft skills, their communication skills. Because again, a student might answer, I used Excel before. Okay. Or another student might say, here's exactly where, how, and when I've used Excel, and here's some things I'm proud of, and here's some advanced tools that I know how to use. So again, that student's taking that extra step to really put their best foot forward, probably going to be a better micro intern for you than the student that just gives a one-word answer, for example. Okay. And then just to really wrap up, and I know I talked fast, so I'm happy to answer any questions, but I want to also show you your next steps from here. Okay. So again, if your goals were one of the first two primary uses, either confirming fit and hire with confidence or building talent pipeline and brand awareness, my email address is right there. I'm very easy to find. I'm just Emily@parkerdewey.com. By all means, feel free to send me an email and say, hey, let's hop on a call. I want to talk through this. If your next step is, I just need to get stuff done, you can go right ahead and create your account. Again, it's free. You can post a project whenever you're ready. I'm also happy to talk to you if you're a get stuff done employer, if you get stuck, if you need help walking through the platform again, if you need help coming up with ideas. That's great. I'm always happy to connect with employers of all shapes and sizes. Again, Emily@parkerdewey.com is a great way to connect and looking forward to connecting with you all. So I am going to probably be able to get you out of here like 3 minutes early, which is exciting. But again, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer anything. And Katie, if I missed anything on your end, please feel free to let me know. Okay, seeing no other questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you again for spending some time with me today and learning more about Parker Dewey. Hopefully you found this useful. And again, Emily@parkerdewey.com. Just feel free to reach out. And thank you again to OSU for being a great partner and being willing to let us share in some of your time today as well. And again, appreciate your time today. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.